Have you ever remembered something so vividly, only to find out that it never happened the way you recall? You could be telling a story about an event that you witnessed firsthand, but then other people start to question your memory. They offer conflicting accounts of what took place, but they're just as sure as you are that they're right. And no matter how hard you try, you cannot remember it differently. But the truth is, far stranger than any of you imagine, because the situation has been repeated countless times throughout history, with entire groups of people sharing the exact same false memories, like the spelling of a famous brand or the death of a celebrity who is still alive. This bizarre phenomenon is known as the Mandela Effect, and some believe that it is proof that we are shifting between parallel realities. In this episode of Quantum What If, we will explore the most shocking examples of the Mandela Effect that have left millions of people questioning reality. Then we will look at possible explanations for this strange phenomenon, including psychological theories and cutting-edge research into quantum mechanics. But first, let me tell you about today's sponsor. But for now, let's return to those shocking examples of the Mandela Effect that have baffled scientists and researchers. The first example that I want to discuss comes from the world of entertainment. Millions of people around the globe believe that actress and singer Lady Gaga was once engaged to actor Taylor Kinney. They had apparently become engaged while filming the 6th season of American Horror Story Hotel and even appeared on red carpets together, wearing matching engagement rings. However, after doing some digging, you will not find a single credible source that confirms these claims, and there is no record of the couple ever getting married. Even though the engagement was supposed to have taken place over a decade ago, thousands of people insist that they remember it vividly and that it really happened. There are many other similar cases where the details may vary, but the core facts remain the same. For instance, the death of renowned South African leader Nelson Mandela. He died in 2013 after being diagnosed with a respiratory infection. But according to the Mandela Effect, he actually passed away decades earlier in the 1980s, which would have made him immortal. The confusion only became apparent when his ex-wife Winnie Madikizela Mandela gave an interview saying that she had attended his funeral back in 1988. She was obviously confused herself and didn't know how he could still be alive. Other cases of the Mandela Effect include the famous cereal brand that is often incorrectly recalled as being spelled with an F instead of AP, and the collective memory that British monarch Queen Elizabeth II was replaced by a look-alike imposter named Philip VI. There are even reports that the country's national anthem was changed, although nobody can remember what the new lyrics were. These are just a few examples of the Mandela Effect that have led people to believe that we are living in a broken simulation. But what do scientists say about this phenomenon? Some researchers argue that it is simply a case of misremembering, also known as Basically, this means that people fill in the gaps in their memory with plausible details that fit their existing beliefs. In other words, the brain makes up for what it doesn't know. For instance, you may have heard about Nelson Mandela's supposed death in the 1980s and believed it to be true. Years later, your brain may have conjured up details of his funeral, and you could swear that you were there. However, this theory does not explain why so many people share the same false memories. After all, each individual has a unique perspective and set of experiences. It seems unlikely that they would all collaborate to create a false narrative. Yet that's exactly what appears to be happening. Researchers have put forward another explanation, which is that the Mandela Effect is evidence of alternate realities colliding. According to this theory, there are multiple universes that exist simultaneously, and we are constantly shifting between them without realizing it. Each universe has its own timeline and set of events, but occasionally these timelines converge and cause a glitch in our collective memory. This is why we experience déjà vu, a sense that something has happened before, even though it hasn't, or precognitive dreams, which are dreams that accurately predict future events. These are all signs that we are moving between parallel universes. Here's another example to illustrate this theory. Imagine two universes that are almost identical except for one key detail. In one universe, Nelson Mandela dies in the 1980s, but in the other, he lives to be over 100 years old. Now imagine that someone from one of these universes travels back in time and tries to change the outcome. If they succeed, the timeline splits again and creates a new Mandela Effect. In this case, we would all remember him dying in the 80s, but he would still be alive. Of course, this is just a theory, and there is no concrete evidence to support it. However, it offers a possible explanation for the Mandela Effect that takes into account the fact that people share the same false memories. So what do you think? Do you believe that we are shifting between parallel realities, causing glitches in our memory? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Another intriguing aspect of the Mandela Effect is its connection to simulation theory. Simulation theory suggests that we live in a computer-generated world that is controlled by a higher intelligence. If this is true, then our reality is essentially a program that we are running. But what happens when there is a glitch in the system? A lot of people seem to think that the Mandela Effect is caused by external factors, such as time travelers or beings from other dimensions. But what if the source of these glitches is internal? What if the Mandela Effect is caused by our own thoughts and beliefs? Think about it. If we are all connected on a deeper level, then it stands to reason that we could influence each other's thoughts and even create shared memories. This could explain why so many people share the same false memories of past events. They are not actually memories, but rather implanted suggestions that have taken root in our minds. So who or what is behind this manipulation? Some believe that it is the result of a corrupted simulation, a sign that our universe is unstable and decaying. Others believe that it is the work of an outside intelligence that is deliberately trying to mess with us. But what if the truth is much simpler? What if the Mandela Effect is simply a byproduct of our own consciousness? We are constantly bombarded with information from the media and other sources. It is impossible to process it all, so we rely on our brains to filter out the noise and make sense of it. Unfortunately, this means that our memories are not always accurate, and we are prone to forgetting things or misremembering them entirely. So the next time you hear someone talking about the Mandela Effect, don't just dismiss it as a bunch of nonsense. It could be an early warning sign that our reality is beginning to unravel. And if you thought that was terrifying, just wait until you hear what I have in store for you next. Our world is becoming increasingly digital, and it seems like every aspect of our lives is being put online. But have you ever wondered what happens to all of the data that is collected about us? Every search we make, every click we commit, every message we send and receive, it's all being logged and stored on servers somewhere. And while some of this information is fairly innocuous, some of it is incredibly personal and could be used to target us with advertising, or worse. Take, for example, the data that is collected about our browsing history and online behavior. This information is used to create detailed profiles of each individual user, which are then sold to marketing companies who use them to target us with ads. This means that every time you log onto a website, you are bombarded with advertisements for products and services that you have already purchased or have no interest in. But it gets even scarier when you realize that this data could also be used to manipulate your emotions and even control your behavior. Imagine, for example, a scenario where a company has collected enough data about you to know your deepest fears and desires. They could then use this information to create an ad campaign that is specifically designed to prey on your weaknesses and convince you to buy their product. Or even worse, they could sell this data to a government agency that uses it to manipulate public opinion or even control the behavior of citizens. The possibilities are really endless, and it's a scary thought to realize that this is already happening. But here's the thing. There is something that you can do to take back control of your privacy and protect yourself from these threats. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out my others for more amazing content. And don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date on all of our latest uploads. See you next time.